All right, let's dive into a story that starts somewhere you'd think is the safest place on Earth, a kid's nursery, and just spirals into this fear that lasts a whole lifetime. This is a seriously chilling, true account of a haunting that began before the person could even talk, and it was shared on the YouTube channel Kuni Monday.
I mean, can you imagine? This is the reality for the guy who shared the story. Even today, as a full-grown adult, he's haunted by things that happened when he was just a baby. That kind of deep-seated fear, the type that just never, ever leaves you, well, it all kicked off on one single, terrifying night.
So to really get why he's so scared, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning. The very first event is a story he can't even remember himself, but believe me, it's one his mother will never, ever forget. A story about a sound that just shouldn't have been there.
So picture this. It's 1998. A quiet, totally normal evening. Mom's downstairs cooking dinner, feeling perfectly safe because she's got the baby monitor on, you know, her little electronic ear to her sleeping child upstairs. It's a completely peaceful night, or so it seemed.
Okay, so check this out. You can literally see her confusion turn into pure dread. First, at 8:15, she hears crying, so she runs up to check, but the baby is totally sound asleep. Weird, right? But hey, maybe it's just some static. Then it happens again. Now she's annoyed, figures the monitor's busted, and switches it off. But then, and this is the part that gives me chills, the crying starts again, coming from a machine that has no power. No way.
Yeah, at this point, forget logic. It's completely out the window. Her mom instincts just kick into overdrive. She grabs her sleeping baby, brings him downstairs right next to her, and makes a frantic call to her husband. You need to come home now. Something is deeply, deeply wrong in their house.
And you think it can't get any worse, right? Well, just as she's holding her son, trying to feel safe, it happens again. That sound comes back from the dead monitor. Only this time it's different. It starts as a baby's cry, but then it starts to morph. The voice gets deeper, and the cry twists into this guttural, horrifying scream.
And that was it. That was the last straw. She couldn't stay in there another second. She literally ran out of her own house, clutching her baby, and just waited in the pitch-black darkness for her husband to get home. The one place that was supposed to be her sanctuary was now the source of absolute terror.
So you'd think that would be the end of it, right? Her husband comes home, they check everywhere, find nothing. And for 3 whole years, life just went back to normal. The family was kind of lulled into this false sense of security, almost making themselves believe it was all just a crazy, bad dream. But really, it was only the beginning.
Okay, so let's fast forward to the next part of this haunting. 3 years have passed. The narrator is now 4 years old enough to play, old enough to talk, and, as it turns out, old enough to see things for himself.
He and his mom are just hanging out, playing in the living room. A totally happy, normal moment. But then he sees her. Standing quietly in the corner of the room is a tall woman, dressed from head to toe in black. He's not even scared at first, he's just curious. He turns to his mom and asks, "Who's that woman?" And this is where your stomach just drops. His mom looks over to where he's pointing and sees absolutely nothing. The corner is empty. She thinks he's just playing a game, you know, maybe an imaginary friend. She kind of laughs and tells him to stop joking. But he won't let it go. He insists. For him, she is as real as his own mother.
And you can just feel the two worlds colliding here, right? In the boy's reality, there's a woman standing right there. But in his mom's, the corner's totally empty. He keeps insisting she's real, and his confusion starts turning into fear. At the same time, his mom's amusement is quickly turning into real, genuine worry.
So, his mom, trying to be patient, trying to calm him down, she literally walks over to the corner. She stands right in the empty space, trying to show him there's nothing to be afraid of. She says, "See? There's no one here."
And then the little boy says the one thing that would just freeze your blood. He looks past his mother and says, with this chilling certainty, "But she's right behind you." The thing in the corner is no longer just standing in the corner. It has moved. And listen, this is the part that changes everything. It's not just that the figure is there, it's that it's interacting. The boy tells his mother that the woman is now staring directly at her, and her face is filled with pure anger. His mom is just frozen. The game is over. And all that fear from 3 years ago comes rushing right back.
And if that wasn't enough to confirm what her son was seeing, something physical happens. Just before her husband got home that night, The mother felt this sudden, sharp, icy cold blast of air right on the back of her neck. All the windows were closed. There was no draft. It was a touch from something she couldn't see.
So yeah, that night was a huge turning point. This wasn't just some weird story about a baby monitor anymore. It was now a shared, undeniable reality for the whole family. And believe me, it was far from over. I mean, when you really break it down, you see this terrifying pattern, this escalation. It all started with sound, a ghostly cry from a machine. Then it became visual, a full-on apparition. And finally, it became physical, a touch you could actually feel. The presence was getting stronger and a whole lot closer.
And you'd hope the story ends there, right? Maybe they moved or it stopped. But no. The narrator says that from that day on, seeing the woman in the black dress just became a regular part of his childhood. She became a fixture in his life, a constant, silent, and absolutely terrifying presence.
Which brings us right back to where we started, to a grown man who is still scared to be alone. And it forces you to ask a really chilling question. When a haunting attaches itself to you that early, before you can even form your first memories, does it just become a part of who you are? And can it ever truly be escaped?